Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The subject of the discourse today is what is called kamma sarikkata. That is, a certain similarity between the action and the consequences of the action. We have been discussing in this series on karma and rebirth, that is action. How action ultimately determines everything in life here and now, and also determines our future existence, that is hereafter. So action being so profoundly important in life, it is necessary for every seeker of truth to know something about the truth of action. Truth about whatever we do, whatever we say, and whatever we think. And when we have a very clear grasp over our actions, which means over our conduct, and life can be ultimately reduced to conduct, to action. So once we have a clear-cut understanding, then we can make life itself into a fitting instrument for the realization of ultimate truth. That is the goal of life. Truth alone can lead us to freedom and the experience or realization of truth. Here and now, through every action, brings this kind of ultimate realization of truth. Now, in this series, those of you who have been attending, you remember that we have given you two case histories. One of a person who, you see, is the very embodiment of evil action, and the other way, the embodiment of good action. And these two case histories are based upon two discourses of the Buddha, which brought about two verses, inspiring verses which are found in Dhammapada. That is verse number 15 and verse number 16. I will read them out for you. Ida sochati pecha sochati papakari ubhayatha sochati so sochati so vihanjati disva kamma kilitta mattano. The evildoer grieves here and hereafter. He grieves in both the worlds. He laments and is afflicted, recollecting his own impure deeds. Ida modati pecha modati kata punyo ubhayatha modati so modati so pamodati disva kamma vishuddhi mattano. The doer of good rejoices here and hereafter. He rejoices in both the worlds. He rejoices and exults, recollecting his own pure deeds. So both impure and pure deeds ultimately decide our destiny here and now as well as hereafter. A very, very important topic to understand indeed. Whatever happiness and misery we enjoy or we suffer from in this life, they're all what we created by our own actions. And whatever miseries and happiness we are going to experience in future lives, that also will be the result of what we do now or what we have already done. Knowing this, a wise person must redesign the mode of living, should be able to design a mode of living by which every action becomes productive of good, productive of virtue, productive of wisdom and happiness. It is only through wisdom that happiness can come, and never through delusion or ignorance. And behind every action there is either wisdom or ignorance or delusion. So now the two case histories are like this. One is the history of Chunda, the pig butcher. Now you remember, we have already mentioned this in the previous discourse, but briefly I will recount. Now the subject is how, Kamma Sarikata it is called, how an action, a karma, produces a result which is similar to it. Now Chunda was the very embodiment of cruelty and cruel action. The way he butchered these poor creatures, unthinkable, incredible cruelty and violence indeed. And he went on doing this day after day, year after year, for 55 years of his earthly existence. And while doing so, he suffered indeed very, very profoundly. He was suffering from paranoia, a very distressing mental condition, a mental disease, where a person is constantly afflicted with fear, all the time afraid of what the world is going to do to him, or what he is going to lose, or what is going to happen to him, all the time afraid and never sure. And he was absolutely, paranoia also means angry all the time, very bad-tempered and depressed all the time. Nobody has ever seen him happy. He was absolutely melancholic and depressed and never happy. And yet he made a lot of money by destroying lives in that manner, very cruelly, just to please the tongue of the rich, those who delighted in pork, in eating the flesh of pigs. Because he produced some kind of a product that became quite well known. It was known as the Chunda pork, very popular in a certain circle. The way he butchered, my goodness, is indescribably cruel, and he suffered day and night because of that cruel action. Here and now, he met his wife. He said he used to, after burning the pig in a very, very horrible manner, and you see, pouring hot water into the mouth and cleaning up inside also, and horrible, unthinkable. So he did all this. Then at the end, after butchering each day, he started his killing, his killing spree early in the morning. Maybe around 4 o'clock in the morning he started all his butchering. And by the time it was 7, he had all completed. He had killed his animals and he had prepared his brand, Chunda brand of pork. The first thing he did, he had ordered his wife. His wife was mortally frightened of him. So also his children and grandchildren. He was like a devil right there at home. So this very miserable home atmosphere with all that money he was earning. So now he would cut the throat, you see, at that last moment, collect the blood and then let the flesh be boiled in that blood and prepared in a certain horrible manner, and he would make sure that he eats while others are watching. He will not eat alone, with others. He must eat on his own, like His Majesty. All these delusive ways and cruel ways at the end brought such misery. For a whole week, he literally lived like a pig that he was butchering. Shouted day and night. He went about on four legs around his house, and embarrassing his family members. They tried their very best to tie him up, his leg and hand and all that, but he developed somehow, due to his bad karma. He developed a monster's power. The result was nobody could control him. He went about round and round his house while the whole world watched him, crying like a pig and burning, burning. He just shouted, burning, burning. An awful way he died at the end. He suffered here and now, and at the end he suffered the suffering of hell. All that fire burning and terrible. The descriptions are so gory you can't describe. It's frightful. But that is what happened. And it's a historical fact. It's not a concocted tale. It's a fact. So now this happened. On the other, the story of Dhammika the Upasaka. He lived such a rich, wonderful life. He had five. He was extremely learned person. He was a very, very rich man. Multi-billionaire, you may call it in modern terms. He had retired, gave his entire estate, his business, his everything to his children and grandchildren they were managing. And he spent early morning, 4 o'clock, he will sit down for meditation. 4 types of meditation he practiced. And then he gathered a group of people who are equally earnest and very devoted and equally learned and so on. 500 of them every day would meet in his big, hall, his puja room and his meditation hall, and they all sat down to meditate. The 4 different types. Buddhanusati, the qualities of the Buddha, so they reflected on them profoundly, so that those qualities will be embedded within their own consciousness. And they will literally experience those very exalted qualities of the Lord. And then Buddhanusa Mettacha, on a universal love, first thing in the morning. What a wonderful way of starting the day. And then Buddhanusati Mettacha Asubhang Maranasati. Then think about this body. People are attracted by the body and get involved in all this sensuality and then suffer. So how this body can also be terribly, terribly unrepellent and unattractive, there is a way of knowing it also by practicing on that. Because the body has 2 aspects. Like anything in the world, you have got 2 aspects. The attractive and the unattractive, repellent. So there is a meditative technique by which you can overcome all your lustful and sensual thoughts and tendencies. And meditation on death, which is the most certain thing to happen, while life itself is the most uncertain thing. So he meditated and then recollected. All of them after the meditation get up, they will get up say about 2 to 2.5 hours of meditation or 3 hours, then discuss about what they heard from the Buddha's mouth in the previous evening. And try to live all that the Bhagavan had, said. So this kind of first thing in the morning, then after they completed their session, all his disciples will go away to their own houses. There are 500 of them. And Savatthi was such a huge city, like modern the city that I have seen now, something like Los Angeles, where it's about 100 miles from one end to the other end. And so they were all dispersed, and each one, he used to tell his friend come students, you must have your own group and spread the message of truth. So that is how they also developed, and each one, you see, at a time came when all of them became so famous and well known. All of them had huge following, nothing less than 500. And all of them retired people completely dedicated to spiritual life, following the 8 Sila in their day-to-day life, completely given to spiritual pursuit in the best sense of the term. And all of them had developed spiritual insights of a kind that you can't even imagine. Many of them, or most of them, were spiritually transformed. They experience enlightenment here and now. And so, this is the type of life they lived. And now, Dhammika himself, they will disperse away after their session at about 7:30 or so, and go home and have their own, their routine. And around 9 o'clock, those disciples will have gathered their disciples and practice again. Samatha Vipassana meditation and discussion on the Dhamma that Lord Buddha had given the previous evening. And he inspired all of them again, and they dispersed. So they, around 10 o'clock, 10:30, the monks would appear for their, alms round, pindapata, bhiksha chara. So they will then go and offer. So Dhammika himself, in his house, it seems dozens of monks would come every day. And he offered with his entire family, sons and daughters and grandchildren and all, very devoutly offering, and practiced this, a mind of, great charitable and great generosity, open-handed, open-minded dana, giving. The very opposite of grabbing and getting and greed, and purify their life in that way. So then, in the since they followed the Sila, Asta Sila, they before 12 noon they would have finished their meals, and by 5 o'clock or 5:30 they were there in the Jetavana monastery listening to Bhagavan Buddha again. This was their routine life. Now Dhammika, at the end of his life, he died in a most spectacular way, of very sublime manner indeed. Just before he passed away, he became aware that his time has come. So he sent his sons to the monastery, Jetavana, requesting Bhagavan to send some monks to hear a Dhamma. He said, he wanted to hear Satipatthana Sutta, the foundations of mindfulness, which constitute the very heart of Buddhist meditation practice. So, as he was listening, suddenly he saw around, right in front of him, he was lying down, of course, hovering in the sky, in the open sky, these Deva Vimanas, they are celestial crafts, just as we have aircraft and they have got celestial crafts of a kind, dazzling, bright. Nobody could see what he was seeing. From 6 different realms, divine realms, these beings came and, beckoned him. He says, come, dear dear friend, you are welcome in our realm, and so on. So since his mind was being distracted, he said, please wait, hold on please. Now when the monks who were reciting the sutra, when they heard it, they say, my goodness, now it is his time has come, let us not disturb him further. So they just quietly got up and went away. Now, then he fell into a state of trance, because his mind was already very uplifted, you see, in a transic state. And seeing him in that state of trance, and all the children, grandchildren, all the people, large number of people are gathered. They felt great emotional sort of distress, and they all said, oh, he wanted to hear the sutta, but he said, stop. Oh, what a pity. When people like him, such a saintly person, have fear of death. And so on, they started imagining and crying. Loudly they started crying and lamenting. Then suddenly he got up from this trance state, and he said, what happened? Why are you crying? Then his children said, well, you said like this, hold on. And so the Bhantes have all gone. And we thought, oh, you are in this state, you see, you are also afraid of death. And so we are all crying. So he said, no, I am not afraid of death. I didn't tell the monks to stop, no. I only told these devas here who are beckoning me. He said, hold on till I hear the sutta. They were disturbing me, distracting me. So then the children said, is it so? He said, yes. So